So you probably know that most of this is off-site construction, so being built in Northumberland but brought up to site and assembled on there. So over a period of time we've seen the new structure be established, and externally we're moved on to now sort of final stages of the outside of the hospital. So people would see the cladding going on around the edge of the building, which is the finishing touch of the building. They would see some groundwork going on, so we've got new landscaping that's started, quite a lot of excavation work on the site, but that's all part of those groundworks. Inside the hospital, work's carried on progressing as well at pace. So at one end of the hospital, where we've got the inpatient ward area and the new doctor's surgery, the well close practice, those spaces are almost finished internally. So if you went in there now, patient bedrooms are constructed, the walls are up, the bathrooms are fitted, the space has been decorated, flooring is in, it's all protected and sealed up now, ready, but those areas are essentially completed. The task currently is we're on to the specialist sort of fit-out areas. So at the other end of the hospital, that's where spaces like theatres, X-ray, endoscopy, there's quite a lot of detailed fit-out with that. So that's underway at the moment. People might have seen the medical gas facilities being delivered recently, so they're all being installed and connected. And once all that building work's finished and the internal fit-out, we then move into what's known as a final phase of commissioning. So that's sort of testing and validation of all of the building services. So you can imagine with the hospital, it's really important that we're certain that things work the way they're designed to. And we have to simulate the hospital being fully occupied in that commissioning period. So that's things like running the medical gases, running the water systems, making sure that everything operates the way it is. So that's the final phase. And then once that's done and we're confident about that, we can then get into the detailed planning of how and when we open the hospital. We think that'll be done over a couple of phases. Fairly tight together, but again, important that we do this safely and manage it accordingly in that plan. So the bell tower piece, we've spent a long time talking to various stakeholder groups, getting a lot of feedback. There's clearly some very strong opinions in the town and quite mixed opinions as well. So we listened carefully to that. One thing we've got to be conscious of is any money we spend on the project is public money, and then we've got to, wherever we can, we want to direct that money to the frontline services. But we've listened to the feedback, and clearly what's important to everybody is the tower itself, so the actual bell tower. So we're amending our planning application, and the aim of that is to preserve the bell tower. That's what we're hearing is really important to people. So the surrounding buildings and the rest of the old infirmary would all be removed as part of the plans, and they will be re-landscaped as part of the entrance and gateway to the new hospital. But the bell tower itself, we're proposing, would be retained. It would be effectively a monument structure. And the advice we're getting, that's about the verticality in Berwick. That's what's important. Clearly it's got historical significance, and we want to be respectful to that. So the plan is we retain the tower itself, preserve the bell tower structure, but remove the rest of the old infirmary.
So all the existing services will absolutely be there in the new hospital, but we have taken this opportunity to review and to see if there's any other service that we can provide. Those services have to be safe and appropriate, but delighted to be able to tell you that we are going to have an endoscopy unit. We haven't had that for many, many years. Also looking at ophthalmology, care of the eyes. We're also looking at audiology for ears, and we're also looking at some gynae procedures, and that is particularly for urological gynae, but also women's health gynae. So we will continue business as usual over the winter, and we've got very strong, robust plans in place as we have every winter. Obviously, we're using the temporary ward, which has been extremely successful, and we will be using all of that bed capacity in there. So business as usual at the moment. We've got a great support from our community nursing teams, who will always support us throughout the year, but particularly over the winter period when it can be extremely busy.